What's going on, everyone, and welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of Voyagers, the newest film from director Neil Berger. Now, before we begin, if you like this channel, awesome, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium, hit that notification bell at the top to find out what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome, hit that like button, as well as commenting below any video that you watch, including this one. So Voyagers is set in this near-distant future about these basically lab-born individuals or who basically from birth are trained and kind of, in essence, like the clones in the Star Wars trilogies, are trained to basically go on this one-way mission to this new place that is very much like Earth in its own right, because the current Earth that we live on is starting to fall apart because of green gases and just things are just, completely going into chaos. It's, if you've seen a bunch of these movies before, you know exactly how the Earth's just going to collapse at some point. But like I said, they're going on a one-way mission. It's about an 85-year trip, and in the process, they are going to end up having to have sex or copulate with one another to basically have kids, so that their kids can end up growing up on this planet, to help settle and kind of grow the whatever they need to do. Well, they also drink this thing called blue juice or blue drink or whatever it is, and it helps them keep them under control so that they can do their mission, they can do their jobs, they can do everything they need to do, but it keeps their desires under control until, as we see in the trailer, they stop doing that. And so therefore things start spiraling out of control. It turns into a paranoid thriller, and I'll leave it at that. I don't want to spoil too much more. Maybe I'll do an ending explains for this movie and whatnot. And so this movie, like I said, directed by Neil Berger, is fascinating because it really fits into his other movie Limitless, which had Bradley Cooper taking drugs that made him very, very smart. And this movie is basically the up-and-comer kids of the new generation of filmmakers and stuff like that. So we have, of course, Ty Sheridan, we have Fionn Whitehead, we of course have Lily Rose Depp, we have the guy who played Bran Stark, who apparently the people in Game of Thrones just shot him up into space at some point. And it's just all these young people who are the future of Hollywood are in this movie. And so this movie Voyagers was something I was actually kind of looking forward to after the first trailer. The second trailer was alright, but the first trailer had a really interesting beat to it, had really interesting pacing and editing. I thought this movie was going to get into something like an Ad Astra territory or like a 2001 territory, or any of these movies that are very heady in their sci-fi where they're just kind of, they're weird and there's something kind of truly off about it. And if you've ever seen the movie, I can't remember the name of it, but it had Robert Pattinson and he had a kid. I think it had like Julia Binoche and stuff like that. It's these types of movies where they're not true high budget sci-fi like Star Wars or Star Trek, but they're low budget, interesting concepts that present something different and unique in its take. So I was really fascinated by what this movie was going to present. So you get into this movie and it starts out and you have Colin Farrell in the beginning and you have the ideas of how these characters are being raised and stuff like that, and I was really on board by it. I thought it was very fascinating. I thought it was going to be unique. I thought it was unique. I thought it was interesting. I thought the idea of the blue drink was kind of fascinating in its own right. And it's a movie that has a lot of unique ideas and perspectives that when you see how these kids operate, when you see how they kind of, patrol this ship that they're on for the next 86 years of their life, I thought it was kind of cool. I thought the idea that these people are going to have kids who are end up being the ones that actually take over the population of the new Earth. I thought the fact that they're never going to see an actual Earth was a really kind of sad, scary nature. I thought it was going to be similar to something like Passengers, where Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt end up not really seeing the new Earth as they land. And as they get off the blue drink, I thought that's when this movie was going to get super weird and super over the top and crazy and just a very different movie. Like I said, going to 2001, which actually switched gears pretty dramatically in that movie. And the problem is it doesn't do that. It ends up turning into a very tropey kind of boring film halfway through the movie. The point where they stop drinking the blue drink and things start falling apart, it just really kind of lost me, to be honest. And it's not necessarily saying that there wasn't some interesting points in the second half of this movie, but it really feels like a traditional action paranoid thriller as the movie moves along, and that becomes a problem because you have this great setup and great kind of motivation and kind of starting point to your movie, but when you get into the second half and it starts like buckling under its own weight of just like kind of blandness, that's a huge problem. Like the characters become almost laughable. The things they do in the second half are almost goofy in their nature, and they're just not that fun to watch. And I just started like kind of checking my watch at that point. I'm like, this is getting boring. I've seen this a billion times before. The setup that you had was so great. What ended up happening? And I think it honestly feels like they just didn't really know where they wanted to go with this film, that they had a really unique idea. But Neil Berger, who wrote the script, was like, how do I end this movie? What do I do? You know, there are points in the second half where like the plot holes are just kind of all over the place, and you're just like, what's the motivation there? You kind of leave like ideas and kind of storyline arcs just kind of disappear, and it doesn't feel like it feels like one half of a great movie and one half of a very mediocre, bland, kind of crappy movie, I guess you could say. It's just overall just a mediocre movie in its nutshell, because it doesn't hold up in the second half of this movie, which is a problem. But I do think for the budget they probably have with this movie, which is probably in the $50 to $60 million range, because it doesn't look like it costs a lot of money. I think they did a nice job with the visuals. I think the ship itself looks really nice. I think the very clean nature of the hallways, that looks very 2001 in its nature. I think the way the costumes look and the cleanness of everything is really nicely done and really well done. I think the music's amazing, very Oscar worthy in its music. I think the cinematography is amazing, because I think this movie had a lot of great potential, but it just didn't fulfill that potential in the end, and that's such a shame. You know, like I said, Talia Sheridan, Lily Rose Depp, and Finn Whitehead do really nice jobs in the movie, but where their characters go and the character arcs and motivations are just kind of bland. So overall, it's a little bit of a disappointment. It has great setup, but just doesn't complete that setup. So anyways, that'll do it. That'll be my take on Voyagers. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this movie. If you decide to watch it, did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you feel the same way I felt, where it kind of felt like it was falling apart as the movie moved along? But overall, let me tell me what you thought in the comments. But if you like what you see on this channel, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome. Hit that like button. And as always, we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.